Hello, I'm Justin Thomas. I'm a senior here at Jay County High School. Presentation here will be how to drive a manual. So the first thing you got to do, you got to obtain a car. I mean, it could be a friend's or a family member's. It doesn't really matter. You can get it for the day, the afternoon. When you get in the car, you'll notice a few differences. One being, instead of two pedals, there are three. You've got your throttle pedal on the far right, and then the brake in the middle, and then the new one on the left is the clutch. All that does is that disconnects the motor from the transmission. It's similar to being in neutral. And then there'd be a shifter in the center column. Now you become accustomed to the car. You got to start it. So you push the clutch. That's the one on the far left, all the way to the floor, or as far as it'll go. And then you take the shifter and wiggle it left and right. It'll bounce back and forth a little bit, and that's how you know you're in neutral. At that point in time, you start the car, just as you would in any other car. Then make sure you're neutral again, and then you can take your foot off the clutch. And now you're just idling, letting the car warm up. Now, when you're ready to move the car, same sort of principle. You push the clutch all the way to the floor. You go to first gear, which is normally left and forward. There'll be a little pattern on the top of the shifter to show you where to go. Once you're in gear, slowly let the clutch out until you hear the motor change sounds. I mean, it'll slow down a little bit. At that point in time, you give it a little bit of throttle and you'll start moving forward a little bit until you get all the way off the clutch and you're driving forward. Now you got to figure out how to stop. So stopping, you push the clutch all the way in, go back to neutral. You'll wiggle it back and forth to make sure it is. Then you can let the clutch out and brake to stop as if you were driving a standard automatic. So I would recommend practicing that, 3 or 4 times to make sure you really get the feel of taking off in gear. Then you gotta learn how to shift. It's really not as complicated as one might think. Same as taking off. You're in gear on the throttle. Let go of the gas pedal, clutch to the floor, pull it straight back to second gear, and then do the same thing as you would when you're taking off. Gently off the clutch until you're on the throttle all the way. And repeat that process, 4 or 5 times, depending on how many gears your car has. So at this point in time, you might be saying, oh, what happens if I'm trying to take off and the car just shakes and stops? Well, that's what they would call stalling. It's where you let the clutch out too fast and the motor spins down and stops spinning, period. Don't fret. You just push the clutch back in and start it again, and then try again, getting off the clutch a little bit slower. To practice this, what one could do is, rather than starting in first gear, you start in second gear, and that'll really help you learn the finesse of the clutch. And like I said, it's nearly impossible to learn something like this via presentation. So you're going to have to find a car and actually try it yourself. But I would recommend everybody learn how to drive a manual, because it's really opens up your options when you go to buy your own car. Manuals are more fuel efficient, stereotypically, and they tend to be more fun to drive. So, thank you.